Oh, folks, welcome back to another episode of Cleats Up Baseball. This is episode 2. A lot of exciting baseball going on. We've already had some great games. We're going to break it down real quick, but let's kick it around to the crew. We got Ty B at Ty Buffalo. What's going on, buddy?
Dom, chicken riggies. Other half, just having a great night here, watching the Red Sox already beating up on Kanzi's Yankees. Things you love to see when you're betting on the Red Sox money line. Absolutely some free money here tonight. And we've already seen A-Rod and Kay just getting absolutely roasted. So I'm having a beautiful night.
Oh, that's brutal. Michael K deserves better. Anywho, that is Ty B. We got Kanzi at Joe Kanzi Jr. Kanzi, what's going on? Brother looking diesel over there.
I mean, Ty B can say all he wants, but didn't the Jays lose today?
Ooh.
It's all right. We're going to be tied.
That's all good. I'm just saying the Yankees might just be following in the Blue Jays' footsteps. So I'm excited to be here, boys. Chicks dig the long ball. Here we are.
Oh, my God. I love it so much. Again, that's at Ty Buffalo, at Joe Kanzi Jr. I am at Real Talk. This is Dom. Give us a follow on all of our social medias at Cleats Up Baseball or Cleats Up Pod, depending on the service. Give us a follow. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. We're trying to build that up. But other than that, boys, where do we want to start? What do you want to talk about? You want to get right into the good stuff?
I mean, we've had 4 days of baseball now. Just Sunday Night Baseball concluding. The big storyline for me was Kanzi's storyline last week, complaining about the pitchers not having their time to ramp up. We saw it very early on. It has been an issue for a lot of guys not making it out of 2-3 innings, not even pitching enough innings to be registered on the list right now of, worst ERAs. We had Jose Barrios with a 108 ERA for the Blue Jays, and they still go out and win the game. Like, if you told me that your opening day starter is going to do that and you still win, I don't know. But baseball is in just a chaotic state right now with the amount of long balls we've seen and the lack of pitchers being able to go deep into games, Kanzi.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it with Luis Severino. Same thing, but he settled in nicely. I think he had
was nasty.
Oh, a changeup was filthy. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but Isaiah Kiner Falefa, he was designated for assignment. He made, I think, 2 or 3 errors in the last 2 games, and the Yankees were just like, you know what, man? Like,
and it's funny, he scored the game-winning run in the first game.
Exactly. I mean, but that was extra innings. He was on second base. But I think the way the Yankees are looking at it, and I think as fans, Yankee fans should look at this, is you probably, as much as we complain about Gleyber Torres and underthrowing or overthrowing first base, he might be a better option right now than IKF. But to go get a little deeper into that, I'll tell you the one thing that really kind of tugged at my heartstrings, and that was Gary Sanchez in one game. He thought it was gone and it was caught at the wall and they lost. Yeah, but he hit a grand slam the other day.
Dude,
he murked it. He murked it.
Dude, it hasn't landed yet.
He golfed it too. I think it wasn't even in the zone, or it was at the very bottom of the zone, and he smoked it upper deck there.
My man's knows it's Masters. It was Masters weekend. And he had to go swinging for the fences like that. So, but yeah, to your point, Ty. I mean, I think that it's going to take a while for these pitchers to heat up. We're not going to see the best of these pitchers until probably end of May, early June. Except
for New York Mets starting pitching. Don't want to be that guy. All right, New York Mets starting pitching through 4 games. 22.2 innings pitched, 11 hits, 4 earned runs, only 2 base on balls, 25 Ks. Not too shabby for a pitching staff that does not have the greatest pitcher on the planet in Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably hang your hat on that. I mean, that's the start you want for the Mets if you're a fan, because that was the big question coming in. Like, with Scherzer, dealing with some injuries, some knocks, not fully getting elevated, ready the way you'd like to. And then obviously the injury to Graham. It's like, what do you have behind that? You saw Tyler Megill get the start on opening day. He looked absolutely phenomenal. Just got his rookie card the other day. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good young pitchers who are ready to make a name for themselves. I think this season we'll probably see them actually make a big push, because they're going to probably have the most stamina, the most get up and ready to go horsepower for this season, just because of everything that happened with spring training being like 2 weeks shorter. But you got to think, pitchers and catchers usually report like a month even before that. So that ramp up was really, cut down to about a 3-week span. So Yeah, like you might be throwing at home and whatnot, and you might be in Florida, and you might actually be able to get some decent bullpen sessions in, but you're still not throwing 100%. Like you're not going to ramp up to that because you don't want to injure yourself before the season. So it's been a struggle for some guys, and I think we'll see them, figure it out eventually. But it's absolutely been a storyline. Even some of the bigger names have had issues. I mean, Ryu today, later into the game, was getting titted up. I think it was Spencer Howard started the day for the Rangers, gave up like 4 home runs in the first 12 at bats. So guys are hitting the ball. The batters definitely have the advantage early on in the season.
Yeah, dude, that series has been a slugfest.
20-23 in total runs.
It's so insane.
Was Miguel the one that said, "I'm coming for you"? If I'm pitching, if I'm on the hill, I'm coming at you.
No, Tyler McGill was at the opening day, starts his second year. Chris Bassett, dude.
Oh God! Like real quick,
I'll
let you dive in
for a while.
When they interviewed him and they were talking about him, he's like, "When I'm on the mound, I'm coming for you," and I was like, "Oh my God, that's what we need in the MLB."
Dude,
I'm a huge fan of him. Chris Bassett is a amazing personality for baseball.
Don talks about the A's connection all the time, and same thing with their pitching. Like I think all those guys, him, Jesus Luzardo, all these guys are going to catch on in other places. Like you played in a tough park there in Oakland, and then not having the full backing, financially and everything else. Like you're always in a tough position there, and we've seen Oakland have a good start, but we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, Chris Bassett. To clarify, because they asked, how does it feel going after a guy like Juan Soto, and he clarified, like you said, pitching in Oakland, not only pitching a tough park and not having the backing, but he's like, I had to face Trout and Ohtani a ton. Yeah. He's like, I don't care who you are. The name on the back doesn't matter. I'm coming for you, dude. That is such a New York thing. And he's been such a stud, but he's been stuck in Oakland. So people don't like Chris Bassett statistically has been one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball the last couple of years. Since he became a major or a consistent starter for Oakland in 2019, he's had a 3.26 ERA. I mean, he's just dynamite. He goes after guys. He's aggressive. And when you have, not to say the Mets bullpen is bad, but it's not. We still don't know what we're going to have in that bullpen. You have to have a starting pitcher that's willing to go after guys, especially in a gauntlet of a division like the National League East is going to be. I love it. I'm a Chris Bassett guy, 100%.
I mean, he's like Ricky Vaughn, but like a lot more under control.
Starter, yeah. 100%. He's got the gas. He's got the gas, but he gets a ton of run on his fastballs as well. Got the 2-seamer and everything to go with it. And when you're able to do that and throw the ball 97, 98 plus, which we're seeing from a ton of guys, it seems like that's another big thing is like we saw a ton of runs scored, I think, on starters, but bullpens in general have kind of shut the door for the most part. Lots of scoring early on in these games. And then it seems the door's kind of getting shut there. Which has been an interesting note, but I think that just goes to show like the amount of arm talent that's, being stuck into the bullpen. Like, hey, like you have just a disgusting slider, like, and you have a good fastball, you throw the ball, 95 plus. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to leave you in the bullpen. We're not even going to try and develop a third pitch. Fuck it. Like teams are just fully, going in on that with a lot of these guys. And it's really being paid off for them when we're seeing some of the numbers, the low whips and some of the K rates that these guys are getting. And I don't know, it's going to continue to happen, I think, throughout most of the season, just because we're seeing so many of these guys. Like even if you look at college baseball right now, so many guys are throwing 95 plus, even in the bullpen in college. Dude. The volunteer fireman throwing 104 out of the bullpen. Like, could you imagine? This happened a few weeks back when Tennessee was playing the one game. The team got like no hit through like 7 or 8 innings, finally got a hit, and then Ben Joyce comes in and is throwing 104 mile per hour fastball. Like, you finally just got your first hit, and now some dude's coming and throwing 104 at you. Good fucking luck.
Dude, yeah. Well, and from a catcher's perspective, do you know how fun it is when your guy – the guy that's on the hill has a great command of his fastball, 2-seam and 4-seam. Mm-hmm. It makes your job so much easier because you might, if a guy's on, you might get through the order 3 or 4 times before you start showing the rest of the repertoire. And it's like the best game of chess ever because you're like, well, I've been going inside of this guy all day, and if he tries to hit it, I'm going to break his bat. If I go outside, he's going to chase. Like they just, I love
100%.
what a lot of these pitchers are doing. Even Bassett was doing that. Like, it must have been so fun just lining up wherever, and he was just painting the corner. It was just a masterpiece. And I tell people this all the time. If you have a chance to go to a baseball game, close your eyes for a second and just listen. It's the most poetic. Like, it's just listening to the game in itself is great. And I could only imagine sitting behind home plate and listening to the pop of that glove when Bassett was just hurling, man. It was, that's gotta be so much fun. I'm like fired up. I want to get on the field again.
Well, it's you say behind the plate too, because we just mentioned, Ty B just mentions guys coming in relief. The very first pitch that Chapman throws is into the backstop, and then he settles down immediately. He looked great, settled right down. You know what I mean? And it's like he's been so up and down. And I think a big thing where a guy like Chapman needs to adjust, and it's not just him, but there's other guys. When he came in and he's throwing 103, like nobody else is doing that. Now every team is doing that. So for him to really work on just throwing nasty stuff, if he can lock down, that Yankees team is in a better position than you would think. I mean, they really are. I like I said, just watching the series with the Red Sox, I think they're a lot better than people thought they were going to be. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to Giancarlo Stanton staying healthy, and Donaldson. I've even been impressed with Donaldson a little bit here and there, but the one guy that I'm really just, he's had great at bats. There's some games, he's 0 for 2. Kyle Higashioka. Yeah. He's been in the system forever, but he's like an Aaron Rodgers behind the dish and in the clubhouse. He just makes everything so much calm for the Yankees. And you mentioned that about Chapman airmailing that. Higashioka was like, all right, man, like, you got it out of your system. Are you good to go? And then he was just peppering the strike zone. And I think that's what the Yankees probably realized was, we don't need a guy like Gary Sanchez anymore on this team that's going to bat 196. And, and let's face it, he was a little lazy. They've got a guy like Kyle Higashioka, they could get him to the next catcher, and that's Austin Wells. I mean, they're just trying to bridge the gap to the next catcher. So I was pretty excited to see Higashioka come into his own.
Oh yeah, Higgy's. I personally, I think he makes that team way better than Sanchez ever did behind the plate, because we talked about it even on the first episode of the show, and I don't like it because I'm kind of an old school guy. But the name of the game is, if a guy hits bombs, he's in the lineup. It doesn't really matter what else he does, right? You'll make it work, except for your catcher. That is the one position you can sacrifice offense in. At least I think so. If you have a solid catcher who's going to be the field general, is going to get your staff under control, like you see it with the Mets, or not even the Mets over the past couple of years with the Red Sox. It doesn't matter who the better hitting catcher was. Chris Sale needed to have Sandy Leon behind the plate. Didn't matter. Yeah, he threw better to him, so that's who played. It's been the thing forever with catchers, and that's the one thing, and I don't think needs to change. So him being there right now is the move, especially with a pitching staff that's kind of on the rocks. Higgy's the man right now.
And one other thing I want to point out about catchers before we segue into the next topic, Ty, is Tom Murphy, UB Bulls baseball player, has been waiting a long time to get his shot. He's been behind Chris Iannetta. He's been behind a lot of catchers. I'm watching Tom Murphy up close was always something that I was like, this kid's going to be great one day. And the fact that he's actually doing it with the Mariners, he's got great command in the pitching staff. He's hitting the cover off the ball. I mean, it looks like Seattle finally found a guy behind the dish that could take command of that staff, and they're going to need it this year. And I'm sure we're going to talk about the Mariners later, but that's another catcher that stuck out to me this past week.
And your favorite Danny Jansen has got 2 home runs already, Kanzi.
Yeah, I mean, and I told you this before the show, man. Danny Jansen's good for like one huge home run a game. He might bat about one,
No, you told me 3 home runs out of every 10 at bats.
Yeah, something like that. No, it's a little more than that for him, but when you get a guy that could throw 4 runners out in a game and give you one big fly, then when you need it, it's Danny Jansen for you.
Not to interrupt, and I don't want to bring it back to the Mets, but did anybody see the Tomas Nido throwing out a runner today, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, Josh Bell, I swear to God, that was I know it's easy to say. You can sit it, I feel like the meme, like the big chunky dude with chips on his chest, be like, idiot. But I know for a fact I could have got a better jump on that. It was he was out by a mile. It was horrible.
Yeah, of course.
I get it. I respect it, trying to get a spark going. I get it. Because if he steals that base, I mean, the Mets season's over probably. We're eliminated from the playoffs today. No, because it's just going to be so emotionally disturbing. But, dude, it was so bad.
Well, aren't these base coaches a little too aggressive in the first 2 games?
I think in general, all teams have been.
Just send it. Just go. What are you doing?
The past few seasons, the trend has been going away from trying to steal bases, and that's sort of been driven by analytics and whatnot. But if you realize that you have some speed, you have to utilize it at least a little bit. So teams are going to be somewhat more reluctant for it, especially with in general, like catchers haven't been as experienced having to throw guys out, coming up even in the minors, because this philosophy is, trickled down, these home runs and strikeouts and blah, 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 whatever. But I mean, we saw yesterday, Vlad Guerrero would have had a stolen base. I talked about this the other day. He would have had a stolen base, but Teoscar Hernandez had to not get his ass out of the way of a terrible pitch and got hit by it instead. But Vlad had the best jump I've ever seen him get. He was there by easily. And we're going to see this all season long, because a lot of these pitchers, it happened to Robbie Ray earlier, where he gave this guy got a, 3-step jump before Ray threw it, because he wasn't looking over, wasn't giving that second look. If you can figure out these trends on some of these pitchers, and they're getting the pitch comm in, right? So like they're getting the signal before like you're taking your lead off, basically, for the most part. So like if you wait and you realize, okay, now he's got the signal, like he already got it to not throw over, he's already got this pitch signal in, boom, you take your extra step, boom, boom, gone. Like you're able to read it so much better, I think.
I think a lot of it too is like we kind of talked about the short and spring trade. A lot of it's timing, like when it comes to some of these base coach guys, because it's not even because Gary Cohen got excited for a foul ball the same way that Matt Vasgersian got excited for that Ohtani hit the other day, or the flyout. Ohtani! It's just time. Like it'll come. It's the first weekend. You know what I mean? Because I love Vasgersian too. So that was brutal. Because his calls are so great.
Show anymore, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I think he strictly does anything that Shohei Ohtani does. I think that's all he does now.
He's just on Ohtani's payroll. He narrates Ohtani's vlog, and he learned Japanese and like translates.
Ohtani to the fridge for milk for his cereal. Like that would be Matt Vasgersian.
Dude, I'm not kidding. I'm not joking at all. Whether it was like a TikTok page or like a YouTube channel, if all it was Matt Vasgersian narrating Shohei Ohtani's life, I'd watch every episode.
Sub. I'd be super chatting away, like, hey, can you ask Ohtani if he likes French bulldogs or English bulldogs?
Hit the bell notification. Done.
Can we get Matt Vasgersian's voice as our GPS on our cell phone?
Oh, I would take that over.
Turn left. That's a deep drive.
Way back. You gotta go 2 miles, and then you're
detour.
Detour. Yeah. Dude, but one thing that really grinded my gears was Mitch Garver in the Teoscar Hernandez sliding in safe at home. So Buck from the Blue Jays. What's Buck's last name? Buck Martinez. Buck Martinez goes,
hold on, make sure you slur all your words together.
Well, it's just all his words. No, but he literally
it's so bad.
He's so bad. But he said the catchers nowadays are taught not to block the plate. But
that was so bad.
What dawned in my mind was, even if you don't want to block the plate, get out in front of the
ball
plate and swipe the tag over. It's easier said than done, obviously.
Once you have the ball, you can block the plate. You just can't block it while receiving it.
Teoscar Hernandez was so safe under that tag that I was like sitting there. I threw my shoe because I had no runs in that inning, I think, or something. It was something weird, some prop that I had. But anyways, what was most incredible about that whole thing was when they did the review and the umpire goes, after review, the player is safe, and 45,000 fans of Toronto go,
and you couldn't even hear why.
Yeah, couldn't even hear why.
How good is that crowd in Toronto?
Dude, literally 2 minutes before was when they overturned Bo being out at first.
Right.
So it was like, he's out, and then like you couldn't even hear what the umpire said, and I was like, wow, this is going great.
Yeah, but to my point about Garver, it's like they paid all that money for Garver to catch for them, and he doesn't know where to position himself in front of home plate.
So bad.
You literally sit behind it.
I tell kids this like when I'm umpiring all the time, like this same exact play happens all the time in like 9-10 baseball, 11-12 baseball, and these parents start freaking out. And I go over to the coach, I'm like, yo,
buddy,
tell him to tag the guy. Don't wait for him. Meet him in front of the bag. Like, meet his foot. Don't meet his hip. Like, what are you doing? It just doesn't make sense to me sometimes. And they don't teach this stuff. They're just like, they don't ever have live base runners in practice and this and that. So like they're just pretending to, tag the air all the time. Like, oh, good, Johnny, you got it on the corner of the bag. No, like guys can slide around it. Like we see it all the time now in college baseball, especially with the Superman slides where you reach around and this and that. Like these guys are elite level athletes. Like they're going to get around that. Like it happens constantly. Like if you don't know how to tag a runner out, like just let me know. Like I will be your coach because number one, I've umpired. Number two, I slap that shit down because I want to make sure that number one, the umpire knows and the player feels that they're out. They got to know. Like what happened to slapping tags?
But Ty, if he was out in front of the plate with his left foot on the corner to do a swipe tag, it's a shorter throw for his outfielder. That's what I didn't understand. It was like everyone out there going, okay, Couch Potato Joe. Like, but like basic baseball knowledge, be out in front of the bag. Sorry, go ahead, Ty.
Well, I was
out in front, shortens the throw, shortens the tag, and then number two, he had the ball like 2-3 steps before Oscar got there. Once you have the ball, you can get in front of the plate.
Yeah,
bro.
You don't have to wait for him.
You say it's get him. Basic, and to put in perspective, anyone who hasn't watched it, you don't even need to know basic baseball knowledge. Our good buddy Scott Matla is not even a baseball guy. He covers hockey. What did he tweet? He goes, "I'm not really a baseball guy, but that was some little league ass plate defense."
It was terrible.
When people were losing it on Twitter, because I wasn't watching the game because I was watching the Mets game. People and you guys were freaking out in the group chat. I'm like, all right, let me go watch this. And I look at it, and it was. I went into it expecting it to be bad. It was worse. But.
It was like my little brother.
But that's baseball, like Susan.
Baseball.
That's baseball, Susan. But no, on a positive note, though, like the home run clip, everything, the calls you said, how good, especially after everything they've been through in Canada the last couple months, how good is that crowd in the Rogers Center, dude? You can't even hear yourself in there. I know for a fact.
Chills, like that Teoscar home run. I watched it Saturday morning, and I got chills again. Like
so good.
It just absolutely incredible. Opening day up there, first time in 3 years, I believe.
Dude, it's a playoff environment.
It was literally. That's why I had chills because I had been there for the 2016 ALCS against the Cleveland Indians. That was the environment. Like it was that loud. Like, all
R.I.P.
They were the Indians.
No, you're not.
I'm Native American, so I can say it.
Go ahead.
This show is so nuts.
I mean, yeah, like the entire time, like every time, Edwin Encarnacion was coming up, or like Jose is coming up, it's just Jose, like. The whole building, and it's just echoing and echoing. Like that building is just incredible. So now to see him fully getting behind this new era of Jay's players with Vladdy and Bo and Teoscar and Danny Jansen and everyone else, like it's just so cool to see. Hopefully, I'm going to be taking a trip up there within like the next 2-3 weeks, so we'll get a bunch of content from that. Got to go to a couple Bison's games, which was nice. We'll see Gabriel Moreno. He just got activated to the Bison's roster, one of the Blue Jays' top prospects down here in Buffalo. So that'll be dope. But it's going to be a lot of fun this season between Buffalo baseball, Toronto baseball, Syracuse baseball, like Rochester, everything else. Like we're going to be all over the place.
You know what I find fascinating about the Blue Jays lineup and is the fact that was it yesterday Bo hit a home run, and then you look on the box score and it was like Bo Bichette home run and then Vlad Guerrero 2 for 4. When one guy hits a home run and the other guy that's powerful in the lineup is 2 for 4, that's a good day. Like I think that's the incredible thing about this team. And we
haven't even talked about the craziest thing about the Blue Jays weekend.
Springer, Chapman, like when you start to see these box scores come out where there's home run and then 2 for 3, 2 for 4, all kinds of crazy stat lines. Like I feel like, and I agree with you, Ty, the one thing that scares me about the AL East is the fact that I think the Blue Jays are good for 90 plus wins. Easy 90 plus wins. I think the Rays could be up there too as well with their lineup, but who knows? I mean, but too early to tell. But the way that this lineup's going, that pitching staff and that lineup, they line up together on any given day, they're a force to be reckoned with.
It's going to be dependent on their staff, whether they're going to be a 90-win team or a 100+ win team. If the staff figures things out between Ryu, I think he really struggled today because he threw so many pitches to Marcus Semien, which ended up showing the Rangers like the curveball early. He never throws a curveball first time through the lineup. He threw, I think, 1 or 2 to Semien first time through, but you have to get that guy out. Dude's an incredible hitter, and he knows the team really well, obviously from being in Toronto last season. But like I said, the biggest thing that even happened in Toronto this weekend, we haven't mentioned Vlad Guerrero with a 467-foot nuke, the longest of his regular season career. The only home run he hit longer was 468 feet, but that was at the All-Star game there in Coors Field. So longest regular season home run he's ever hit. This ball was in the sky deck there in Toronto. It looked like it was still going up when it got out. Like, it was out of there before he could even sniff first base. Like, I mean, George Springer summed it all up. There was a video of George Springer after and like walking back in the dugout being like, yo, that was insane. Like, you can't hit a ball. Like, he hit that so hard. And I'm just like, yeah. It was 117.9, I think, off the bat.
Yeah. Right. And what I think is incredible too is when you look at Vlad Guerrero Senior's like kids, I think he has how many, like 6, 7 kids?
I think so.
That we're aware of.
No. But I'm just saying all of the kids, I think there's Vlad and there's one other that are kind of like they're actually really good at baseball. But I think if you were to go back in time and put another 20 pounds of just torque and muscle on Vlad Guerrero Senior's body, that would be one of the greatest baseball players of all time. I'm not saying Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to be the greatest of all time because you have Mike Trout who's on that trajectory, but it's so incredible to have flashbacks of Vlad Sr. and Vlad Jr., but he hits the ball so much farther with so much more velocity than Vlad Guerrero Sr.
And now he's stealing bases.
Yeah, and he's stealing bases now too, just like his father.
Vladdy cakes.
Every time I watch Vlad Guerrero Jr., I just get flashbacks of Vlad Sr. and it's just incredible. I mean, the kid, a lot of people go, "Oh, you're pro Blue Jays." Look, like, I get it, but I'm not going to shy away from the fact that this kid is a great baseball player.
Real recognize.
I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to go watch the Padres and Diamondbacks. Probably going to go watch the Jays and Rangers because I have a better chance of seeing.
Goes on later.
Yeah, but my point I'm making is which game am I going to watch more of?
Yeah,
I'm probably going to watch the Jays versus Rangers.
You're going to watch the Stars.
So much better.
Yeah.
And not just that, but it's fun because you mentioned Vlad Sr. Dude, that dinger that Bassett hit was unbelievable too. And
he did the helicopter swing around his head with that
another old timer baseball kid playing, dude. I mean, it's just, dude, that team's so much fun. It's hard not to watch. Yeah. Dude, him resigning from his position so he could train with him over in the offseason when they're in Laga was awesome. I mean, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'll tell you, I was a little worried if I said earlier, I was a little worried about him transitioning into the shortstop position because I always kind of saw maybe Bo being a second baseman and then finding another shortstop.
Yeah.
But God's honest truth, man, that kid is so elusive, so quick, and his arm strength he's not a small guy, but in comparison to other major leaguers,
he's 5'11" 3/4.
He's skinnier, he's lanky.
I mean 6 feet.
Yeah, but he just rips. Like, he just goes out and he plays baseball like you should, and that's to have fun. He just looks like he's having fun every single day.
Always. And that's huge at the major league level. And when you see and you realize like the amount of growth and the amount of time and work he puts in, there was a little video or picture, whatever they showed in the story they showed today from Matt Chapman when he first arrived at Blue Jays camp. There was a picture of like literally the sun had just come up enough to be able to see on the field. Bo Bichette's out there, a couple other guys are out there, and Matt Chapman's like, yeah, I'm in the right spot because he was already getting ready to go out there and train with them, and he's like, yeah, they're already out there, like, let's go. And like that's the amount of work he's put in, and Bo's been putting in a lot of work with Troy Tulowitzki and a few others during the offseason working on his defensive game. And you add Matt Chapman, who was a 2-time Platinum Glove winner for the best defender. Yeah. I mean, he's absolutely incredible. He's got 5 gold gloves. He's going to be getting a gold glove when they go back out there to Oakland.
Best third baseman in baseball.
He's.
I really do think he is.
Just watch him play. He's making plays that like I dreamt of making when I was younger. Like it's insane.
Well, yeah, and the one
he's fielding balls behind him and throwing guys out almost for a double play. Like
something else fascinating in that series between the Rangers and the Blue Jays was that broken bat hit by Seager. Oh my Lord!
Just, like,
so
just hold it enough.
You know how you always see those hitting instructors doing one-handed hits. That's why they do that, because your body should move that way. And the fact that he still was able with so much torque and power
just
to get that out,
pull it through,
get that out of the infield and pull it was incredible. I mean, you see why you got the big money there in Texas. It's just there were so many fascinating things that happened, but that series in particular, I would say the two series that really, I would say all three series: Blue Jays, Yankees, Mets. I mean, I think we were all happy, but I think it was some of the best baseball that we've seen in a long time.
I don't know. It was a voice message in the chat that I sent. Tybee, you were freaking out because I think it was Springer and Chapman just went back to back. And then Lindor hit a home run, and then Gary Sanchez hit that grand slam. And I go, there's so much great baseball on right now. I love this so much. Like, dude, it is, dude.
Losing, but
it's the Mets. Hey, listen, we're starting out 3-1. Mets fans, if you're listening, calm down. It's okay. 3-1 ain't bad. We're going to play the Phillies this week. It'll be good. We'll be good.
Ooh,
it's cool.
That'd be a good series.
You know, we're gonna get your boy Taijuan Walker tomorrow, and then McGill, and then Scherzer against Nola and Wheeler. It's gonna be, those two games are gonna be brutal,
dude. But this is the incredible thing about baseball now. Everybody has one or two guys on their staff. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, okay, so the Yankees don't have anyone. I don't care. They still got Cole and Severino. You got Scherzer, DeGrom once they're healthy going. Your lineup's Gossman and why am I drawing a break, Blake?
Ryu,
Barrios. Yeah. So you've got sorry, why I can't remember things today. My point I'm making is that anytime you turn on a game now, you're going to see a great pitcher or somebody pitching at least once a week. Yeah, that's a stud, and I like.
There's a good balance of talent across pretty much the entire league right now.
Even Spencer Howard today, like, gave up, a bunch of home runs, whatever for the Rangers, but the dude's still throwing 98 mile per hour fastballs, a decent slide piece. Like, he's got some stuff. Like, all these guys have decent stuff. It's all about figuring it out, and that's the difference between AAA and MLB ball. It's such a big jump, especially for pitchers, because it's not one guy or two guys you got to worry about in the lineup. It's 9 guys most of the time, especially now with the way that some of these rosters are constructed.
Universal DH.
Universal DH. So having that and seeing, what the NL is going to be able to do, like, you're going to see more runs scored just across the board this season. We don't know which ball we're going to get because there were, 2 different balls last season, but the ball seems to be flying this year.
Early too.
Yeah,
it's not even warm yet, dude. There's been some warning track power that they would be home run. Judge that one. 100%. Everybody got excited. I don't want to take anything away from Kike Hernandez. That was a great play, but that Judge ball he caught, that's a home run a month from now,
easily.
100%.
Easily.
That guy. You're talking about a guy that hits the ball hard. Jesus.
On a side note, Tanner Houck looks really good right now.
Yeah, he's throwing
slide piece is nasty,
dude. They got a couple guys on that set. Pavetta was throwing filth. I mean, it didn't work out for him, but some of the pitches were nasty.
Yeah, Jake Pavetta until he threw a meatball to Giancarlo Stanton.
I mean, that's what happens. Is like
that's
these
baseball,
guys,
Susan.
Baseball, Susan. You throw 99 good pitches, but the one bad one goes fucking 450 feet.
I will say the one guy that's getting lost under all this is Anthony Rizzo.
Dude,
Anthony Rizzo is like someone I aspire.
He's a Yankee. Like. That's it. He's a Yankee.
Well, he is a Yankee, but like. But the fact that there's that short porch, it just makes it so much better to have.
Well, no, when I say he's a Yankee, I mean like he's cut out for that team.
He's cut out to
That's
be a Yankee.
He loves it, dude. He's sick. Dude, he's awesome. I love Anthony Rizzo. The fact that he has a ridiculous number, even though he's Anthony Rizzo, is awesome. I love that.
Because there's no numbers left.
I know.
They're all retired.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever. Retire the numbers you want. Who cares? Because that's the move now, guys. Just keep random numbers that get to spring training anyway.
I mean, essentially, yeah. You're not wrong. Like, is what it is. I mean, even
there's Rizzo doing it again. It's a replay, but
Oh yeah,
don't get me excited.
You got me looking down, ready to expecting something to happen.
Like John Sterling last year calling that Aaron Judge home run on the replay.
That's exactly what it was right now, and then because they're just showing replays of him hitting home runs last season at this point,
just nukes. Like, Judge just play. Oh boy.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, boys. I'll tell you what though, man. This Mariners team, like
Mitch Haniger, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, but my boy Eugenio Suarez, he's hitting with a lot of power, but he missed a home run by a few feet. But some people are like, "Oh, he's looking lost out there," and I'm like, "No, not my Eugenio Suarez.
No.
Not my comeback player of the year.
Not my comeback player of the year." So I mean, but I do, like I said, I do think I think the Mariners are definitely a force to be reckoned with. But those games. I saw some good things, but there wasn't anything that really stood out to me except for Gary Sanchez missing the game winner.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of
potential. Those are still two big wins for them. Yeah, because Minnesota is a team that's very good. Are both projected to be very good. They still have a decent roster construction from over the past few seasons. Gone out, made some big moves. So getting those two wins obviously is nothing to, slouch over or whatnot. But I think, going forward, I think we're going to see a lot more out of that staff. A lot of these young guys are really going to get a good opportunity, especially going into a series here against Detroit, where you should be favored, throughout the series. You'll get Matt Brash in for one of these starts. My guy, Matt Brash. Make sure you guys tune in for that one because I think he's going to be absolutely dicing up those Tigers. Not hitting the ball really well, only scored 8 runs through their 3 games thus far, which is not surprising at all. They really struggled to score last year. They really struggled to hit the ball early last season. I think they're hitting like 190 in the first month last year. So obviously the cold weather in Detroit is going to be a big factor, but they're going to be playing in that first series there in Seattle. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes for them to get their, opening series started off, at home after finally making the playoffs for the first time in like 100 years.
The 100 years.
I don't know. Right?
It's a while, man.
Something like that.
Not good.
The only thing that concerned me though about the Mariners lineup, did you see was it the first game? Was it Friday or second game? Did you see is it Yohan Duran or Duran?
Yohan Duran.
Okay, so listen to this. He gives up 2 singles, has a wild pitch, just looks completely lost out there. Then he blows the next 3 batters away with a 99.7, 99.5, and a beautifully floated curveball at 87. 87.
He's disgusting.
And it was like, and everybody was like, whoa. Like,
he is nasty.
There, and I was like, boy, you better stop. Like, boy, you better stop right now.
That shouldn't be legal.
That shouldn't be legal. But that goes to show you that baseball is a game that changes at the drop of a hat. And
I think
the announcers
those were his first appearances in the MLB, correct?
Yeah. And I was thinking in my mind, the announcer's like, oh, he's really struggling. And I'm like, hold on a second. This guy's not even out of the inning yet. And then boom, 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 boom. And the announcers are going, whoa, what's just happened? We got caught with our pants down. I'm excited to see him the rest of the season for sure. Especially the way he climbed with those. I mean, the velocity on that fastball just kept getting better each and every throw. So.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Did you see it? I will text you.
No, send it to me. I didn't see it.
I will send you the video. It is just poetic. It's poetry in motion. It's poetic. It's incredible.
Absolutely.
I was just watching. I don't know if either of you guys have looked down at the Yankees game quick.
I did.
Did you just see that play?
Fair foul.
It was fair. It was fair. And is that Doogie out there kept it in? And Rizzo got caught up running back to first. Dude. I love him so much, dude. He's awesome.
He literally slid into the bag too the first time, which is hilarious.
Oh, dude.
For no reason.
Yeah, now he's like, I'm all tired out here, dude. Come on.
He's like, I gotta keep running.
I know.
Like, come on.
Speaking of incredible plays too, did you see Mike Trout's freaking home run? I mean, I and you guys saw it on my Instagram story. I said this is the closest to Mickey Mantle we'll get to see.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that ball was still going and it hit the rock fountain out there, I think it still would have kept going if there wasn't an object there.
That's like the Vlad 467 footer.
No. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from
it. It was it was still going up. It's like it's insane how hard some of these balls get hit nowadays. But you think about how much more time these guys are putting into their, strength training and resistance, everything else that they're doing, and maintaining their bodies with nutrition and everything else throughout the season and whatnot. Like it just pays off.
Yeah.
And that's why I just laugh at people when they're like, oh yeah, Babe Ruth would strike all these guys out, or like Babe Ruth would still have, 50 home runs a season or what, whatever. I'm like, you're absolutely crazy. I'm like, that dude would be eating 2 hot dogs, would go up there, go 0 for 3, and would get sent right back down to AAA and never sniff the majors again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, the only thing that concerns me about Trout at this point is it's like, at what point does he continue on this trajectory with the Angels? And does he want out? I don't think he's ever going to want out because he doesn't seem to be that type of guy. But
yeah,
there's going to come a point in time where the Angels aren't going to make the playoffs. And it's kind of like, and I compare it to hockey. How many times have we said it stinks that we don't see Matthews, McDavid, and Eichel in the playoffs, right?
Right.
Well, I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. I do. I think it's great for baseball. You have to have these guys in there. And if their teams can't get them there, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of viewership. Time's running out for baseball is what I'm basically saying.
Well, at least for Mike Trout as the face of baseball. Like, he can't be that guy if he's not playing in October.
Yeah. Right. You're one of the biggest markets in all sports. You could spend a little more money.
Yeah, exactly.
The ownership and front office of that team is so frustrating because they're so against people spending money and they just do petty things that don't make any sense. Like they do nothing to benefit pitching at all, and then in the draft they draft 9 straight pitchers. It's like, are you trying to be like funny? Is that because that's funny? Like that's not real. Like you can't be realistic.
It was like was it 10 pitchers the first 10 rounds?
Yeah, it's like, are you trying to be funny? Because that's hilarious. Like there's no way you're being serious right now.
And then they go get Joe Madden because that's great. Like he's a great manager, but it's like,
dude, it's not like there's not talent on that team though. No, you know what I mean? Like
Anthony Rendon, they've got Mike Trout. I mean,
Joe Adele. I mean,
Shohei Ohtani. Like let's not.
They had to change the rules of MLB the show for that guy.
Yeah, literally. Like I just don't get. I don't get how they don't progress. And maybe they will this season.
Cheap.
I don't get how they.
Cheap.
They should be able to make the.
They're not even cheap. They spend money.
Yeah, they spend money poorly.
Bad decision making. It was the same thing. There was the reason for the Sabres for so long because you're spending big money contracts on fucking Billy Leno and Christian Ehrhoff. Like when you invest your money poorly, like,
I forgot they gave Billy Leno money.
It's gonna go. Like if you pay some guy off one good season, like what do you expect is gonna happen? Like Anthony Rendon, I think is kind of a good example where like you probably overpaid for a guy who is a good player. Maybe is a great player, but he's not a $40 million guy when you can go out and replace him with, another guy who's, about $10 million and you lose maybe, 0.5 or, maybe even 1 WAR. That's fine because you can replace that by spending that money elsewhere on your team and improving other positions.
Well, but Ty, you bring up a good point. I think it has to do with lineups, protection in the lineup. I think Rendon was so effective in that Nationals lineup. Dom's going to cringe here for a second. When they won the World Series, that was a great lineup. That was from top to bottom. It was an amazing lineup. And I think when you think about Rendon and where he was protected by some really good hitters. And I think the same can be said. And people always get mad at me for saying this, but the difference between Bryce Harper and Mike Trout, and Bryce Harper's still an effective player. He can still match the ball. He's always up there for MVP. But the difference between the two is if you removed Albert Pujols, Rendon from that Angels lineup last season, the last 2 years, Mike Trout can still carry that lineup. Bryce Harper, when you remove guys from that lineup, can still hit, but I don't think he can carry a lineup like Trout can. There's a difference between the two players. So to kind of go back to what Ty was saying, Rendon, I think, is only as effective as good as the lineup is. And he's not really – I've never seen Rendon as like a powerful hitter, a guy that I'm like, oh, yeah, I got Rendon. Yeah, but I feel like Rendon's a guy you add to your lineup when you already have – like if he went to the Blue Jays, well, then Rendon would be a perfect fit there because he'd be protected by millions of players.
Absolutely.
So that's my point.
Right.
I think
you're 100% right. And that's something that drives me so crazy, Cons, is because it's not like there were so many good bats that they could have went out and got one. Do you know what I mean? Like, just to add some protection. You don't even have to spend bananas money and get 3 of the best free agents. Get one of the good ones, because that just does exactly what you said. It adds protection in the lineup to Trout and Ohtani, because those guys are great. Like, they're great. But if they see a few more good pitches each week, they're going to be even better. And like, that's the big thing that I think a lot of people don't appreciate with these guys, that when they're on like, as good as Mike Trout is, he's been on a pretty bad team and he still managed to do what he does. Same thing with Shohei. Like, Trout was hurt all last year. Yeah. The only hope they had at any production every single game for the Angels was Shohei, and he did it. Like, you know what I mean? And that doesn't take anything away from guys like Vladdy or Pete Alonso or Judge, or when Giancarlo Stanton's healthy, dude, I don't want to pitch to the middle of that lineup. Are you kidding me? It's disgusting. Well, but then you got guys like, they don't have the protection and they still manage to do that. It's impressive, is my point.
Right. Two years ago, the Blue Jays traded for Jonathan Velar. Is he a switch hitter? I believe he's a switch hitter, right?
Yeah, he was a Met last year.
They don't have many lefties.
No, they don't. But the point was, they got him because they wanted a guy that they could put in the leadoff spot that could hit lefty, or they could put him anywhere in the lineup, and it was a left-handed bat, or wherever. I think the difference was when they tried it out, they're like, this isn't working. I think Blue Jays did the season when they got Tapia, was they said, okay, we're going to get Tapia. He's a lefty, but we know he'll make contact. So by putting him at the top of the lineup, and we can rest our other players, it's still effective. And we talked about Montoyo being very effective as a manager because he sees that and says, well, geez, who can we get that can be effective when I have to rest, Chapman, or I have to rest, Bo, or I have to rest Kevin Biggio. If Kevin Biggio is, he's not playing that much yet this year, but still, my point is they found the left. Yeah, Espinal too. There's another guy. Effective guys on your off days. Plain and simple.
100%, dude.
I agree completely, but we got to talk about we talked about the Twins like real briefly.
Yeah, we did.
Got to talk a little bit more. Byron Buxton, 3 home runs through 3 games.
Nasty.
Dude started the season on an MVP pace last year, and now he's doing it again this year after getting a nice big ticket up there in Minnesota, and it seems like he's going to carry that over. I think his only 3 hits are home runs too. Yeah, all 3 of his hits are home runs, which is incredible. It's insane to see what he is doing. I mean, even Nolan Arenado too, two home runs, but he's got 7 RBIs, hitting 500 thus far, 1.78 OPS super early on in the season. And he seemed to figure things out with his bat, but it's going to be interesting to see how, well these guys hit. Byron Buxton hitting home runs like that in Minnesota this early in the year is like a great sign, because we talked about, the weather cold up in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Definitely cold up there in Minnesota, and he's getting things done.
Absolutely. He's coming out of the gate hot, especially for a guy that just signed a big extension. Dude, you love to see that. You bring in and we talked about it last week. You have the benefit of these guys that you brought in. You got the Sanchez bat in the lineup now. You got Gio Urshela, who's no slouch. You got Carlos Correa, obviously. And they get production out of the guys that were already there. This Twins team could be a problem, especially you got A.J. Pollock just went down for the White Sox. They got some other issues they're dealing with right now, injury-wise. I mean, I think the White Sox are obviously the team to beat in that division, but between the Twins and the Tigers, they might be able to make it interesting. It could be a fun division to watch.
Wait, so you're telling me that you're actually going to put all the pressure on Sonny Gray in Minnesota? Like,
that is the one issue, is the pitching.
I know you can hit as many balls as you want, but it's like I look at that staff and like I want to so bad like jump on the bandwagon, because I watched Twins baseball for so long being from Rochester, but it's just that pitching staff. I look at it and I'm like, no, so
it's tough.
I think when you have
they had an ace and you traded them away.
Mm-hmm. So I don't care what anyone says about having a potent lineup. You have to have 1 to 2 really good starters to get you through the season.
No, you're right.
And I don't think they have it. And I always say this every year to one player. Prove me wrong, Sonny Gray. Show me why the Yankees traded for you initially and you peed down your leg. But anyways, the point is that I just want to see a little bit more from that staff before I start saying, hey, Correa was a great addition. I want to see what happens. Let's see the stats.
No, I agree. The only reason why I say is that they have the chance to make it interesting is because Chicago already has kind of been bit by the injury bug, and it's obviously a long season. You don't know what's going to go on, and that clubhouse was kind of chaotic last year. So as good as the White Sox are, especially in comparison to that division, my point is I think it's going to be fun to watch because Detroit's showing some pop. Like they don't want to be a slouch, clearly. So that division might be kind of fun to watch. And it goes back to what you said earlier, Konzi. Like there's so much talent spread out across the league that some of these divisions, like as loaded as the AL East is, the other two American League divisions are like just completely like, I have no idea who's going to be good. I couldn't even begin to tell you kind of thing. Like it's it's chaos, man. It's crazy.
Well, I just feel like a lot of MLB clubs this year, outside of a few, were just like, all right, we need to get big bats in the lineup. And then once they got them, they go, oh, who's going to throw the ball for us?
Right.
And they're like, all right, who can we get from an estate sale or yard sale?
Well, that's the crazy thing. Kind of like I try to explain this to someone because I got some friends that are kind of starting to get into baseball. And it's like, they're like, oh, this guy's great. It's like, yeah, if you're not a baseball guy, these big matchups look like they're more exciting than they really are when statistically the pitcher has such an upper hand in most scenarios.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? People just don't appreciate good pitching. And that's why, again, like I don't want to pump their tires at all, but it's early. Getting good pitching out of your pitching staff as the New York Mets when you don't have Jacob deGrom is such a good sign because that's always been the issue is you've had deGrom, maybe we'll win every 5 games and then might get lucky once before he pitches again. But now it's like, hey, we got guys that can go out and win because the Phillies lineup mashes. I mean, that team's going to mash. The Braves aren't going to be a slouch. Dude, even the Marlins are going to be fun. Jazz Chisholm Jr. is going to be one of the funnest guys in baseball to watch this year, and no one is talking about him.
100%.
Unbelievable. So it's your Konzi. Your point is the pitching. 100%.
Well, because I think about it this way, like remember last season when they're like, is anyone going to help DeGrom out besides DeGrom? Then DeGrom goes and hits like a triple or no, but like what I'm basically saying is that
unemployed.
DeGrom's the type of guy that's going to win you a 2-0 ball game. When the lineup's struggling, he can he might win a game 1-0, and that run might come from him hitting a home run. That's just because Jake DeGrom, by the way,
I'm going to miss initially.
Played shortstop in college, became a pitcher overnight. But it's what it comes down to, man. I'm sorry. You can have the best potent lineup. If you can't throw the ball and play defense, you're done. You're toast.
Do you think
teams like you used to?
This is going to be a goofy question, but obviously Shohei is going to hit even when he pitches, right? Do you think at all we'll still see guys hit for themselves here and there? Like, do you think even though he's kind of old there, like I'd love to see Mad Bum still get in the box?
I don't think anyone else will because even Stroman's like a pretty good batting pitcher, and he's like, yeah, I'm glad I won't have to anymore.
You're right. These guys probably haven't even picked up a bat since they announced that.
No chance. Yeah.
No way.
I didn't even look at how Stroh did today. How did he do? I didn't even look.
I think they did well. I believe they won.
Did they?
But it's probably the only other guy coming up that you'll even have to think about potentially going both ways is Spencer Schwellenbach.
Giggity.
Who played last season for Nebraska, starting shortstop, but also came in throwing like 95, 97, like straight Chad. And was their starting shortstop, like I said. So, like, he's very good defensively. He can hit the shit out of the ball. So, like, he might be the only guy we got to really worry about that right now. Can't think of anyone else right now.
Fair enough.
Well, I just like having the DH in the NL because, like, I'll never forget when the Yankees got Javier Vasquez back from the Braves. He lost like a certain amount of strikeouts in his effectiveness because he struck out like the pitcher that was batting every time he was up. So I always that like I sound like an old head saying that, oh, they have more strikeouts. They do have more strikeouts essentially because of that. I would like to see, and I think it's great. Now when you watch the Cardinals, Albert Pujols doesn't have to play the field. They just DH him.
Yeah. Right.
It's good for baseball. And 2, you get to rest your players by just letting them hit. And I think that if there was no DH spot in the NL, you wouldn't see Pujols in a Cardinals uniform. It just wouldn't make sense. He's too old. He's probably 60, and he's saying he's 50. I don't know.
Right. You're saying he's 50. He's trying to pass himself off for like 40.
Right. Yeah, well, no, older. But you're right. It gives guys like the 72. Advantage of if you were to give we're going to give this guy a day off. It's like, we don't have to give him a day off. We can just DH him. Like, you know what I mean? Keep his bat in the lineup. Like the Mets are kind of messing around with that right now with Pete and Dom and Cano. Robinson Cano, It's kind of winning me over. Robbie Cano, don't you know? It's kind of winning me over.
He looks like Robbie Cannoli. Jeez, he gained about 50 pounds.
Yeah, dude, you ain't kidding.
It's not the steroids. It's not the steroids.
Well, you know what's crazy? Because a guy like Cano, he's not the only one, but there's a million of these guys across baseball who, especially guys who are like, came up in like the DR or whatever, like, not that they don't train hard, but like a lot of them can just wake up and be great at baseball. Robbie Cano was probably playing Xbox, just eating garbage for the past year and did nothing. And just like a couple,
he's also 39.
A couple months ago, it was like, oh, I should kind of get the old arm warmed up here. We got to get going here.
You guys actually want to play this year?
You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Some guys just wake up and just mash baseballs. That's what they do. It's crazy. Robbie Cannoli. He fits in New York if that's what he's going by.
Or does he fit in?
Don't you know? Hey.
Robbie. Robbie Cannoli is that Yankees fan that was going viral the last 2 days. You see that guy?
The guy in the pinstripe shorts with the tank top?
Yeah. That guy plays offensive line for Oklahoma, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Because that's baseball, Susan.
Dude, that was incredible. I thought that guy was awesome. I don't see a problem with it. The people were like, "Is that Luke Voigt's brother?"
I mean, it's better than the generic stereotypical Yankees fan with the beater underneath and the gold chain.
Yeah,
hey, that's true. I'm pretty close.
Yeah, but you look like $1 million.
You got the beater on up front, not underneath. You're letting the guns right out.
Hey, you guys.
Consino.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's only safe to say, are we doing fair or foul this episode or what?
Do we have anything?
Oh, geez, Joe.
Yeah, we do actually. We do. I have one foul that I will say.
Go ahead.
The Nationals Mets broadcast on Apple Plus
sucked.
Oh my God. Yeah, fair foul. Apple. Here we go. Back to fair or foul, everybody. The Nationals and New York Mets decided to broadcast their game on Apple TV Plus. Did it hit or did it miss? Was it fair or was it foul? We all know that it fucking sucked.
It was bad.
What did you think?
All right, so I thought foul, and I'm going to tell you why. There was. Let's start with the technical difficulties. I
thought it was my Wi-Fi at first.
I couldn't even get through the first 2 innings of it because I thought it was my Wi-Fi, but Apple was having technical difficulties. But I think that Apple TV failed the broadcasters. I don't necessarily think that the broadcasters themselves are not knowledgeable in baseball. I just don't think they've had the practice like they should. Okay,
I agree.
The fact that there's a pop out to the pitcher and you're like, towering fly ball. And I'm like, nope, that's a pop out to the pitcher. I even saw that.
You barely even mention it.
His bat went like this. That's not a towering fly ball. And I don't want to come across, I definitely like the way baseball's going. The Yankees have a female manager in their system. I like the direction that baseball's going. I just think that broadcast was a failure to begin with. And the broadcasters aren't to blame. The broadcasters aren't
right now. I agree. No, I agree with that, Konzi, 100%. And here's the reason why. Right, if you're going to do a broadcast like that, whether it's Apple TV or whatever, especially if it's people their first time doing a broadcast, one of them's got to be a heavyweight. Like you got to chuck up the money to bring in someone that's done this. You know what I mean? Just to kind of like, not necessarily coach them, but corral the broadcast. Like when you're spending 25 minutes talking about Fogo de Chao during a play, or there's such a thing as too much knob talk, and a fella ought to be aware of it. Like it just, they rambled on so much. And I've never done a broadcast. I wouldn't be that great. But my point is, if you're going to do that, it's Max Scherzer's return to Washington. You know, you gotta you gotta be better. All that aside, once they had no technical difficulties anymore, once they got it all figured out, the angles and the picture they were using was tremendous.
And the broadcasters started to catch their stride when they were interviewing the players. But you got to let the broadcast breathe just a little bit, because they have the right resources, and I think the two of them will be great in the future. Just got to let the broadcast breathe a little bit and let those player interviews stand on their own, and that would have been the perfect broadcast.
Yes, we're in a position, Kanzi. I'm not as familiar with Toronto, so you'll have to excuse me, Ty, but I've dealt with Gary Cohen and you've dealt with Michael Kay for so long that we're used to a specific standard of a broadcast. Because Gary, Keith, and Ron for the SNY for the Mets, I mean, in my opinion, I don't bias, but I think they're the best booth in baseball, if not one of them. So to me, anything other than that is just not good. It's not good, but it's just not the same. And Gary Cohen, for an example, and there's other guys that do this, and it's across all sports. He's so good in doing exactly what you just said, where he'll let the game breathe.
Especially if it's on TV.
Exactly.
If you're not doing both radio and TV,
yes,
you can let the game speak for itself sometimes.
Yes. So, prime example, a home run call or whatever, like the Pete Alonso grand slam yesterday. He goes through his call, the typical Gary Cohen, and it's out of here, drops the pen. You can see it when they play that. What does he do after that? Nothing. Just give it a second. Let the moment happen.
You hear the crowd. You get to see all of it. You watch, touch the.
Do you know my favorite broadcaster is my favorite anchor is Jessica Mendoza.
Dude, she's great.
I think Jessica Mendoza is like the template, the staple. Like, and she is better than. I'm going to say it. She's better than every single ESPN broadcaster they have for Sunday Night Baseball, hands down, because her knowledge of baseball, her baseball IQ. Everything that she talks about, it's personable. It means something. She adds value. You guys know that I was like a huge fan of A-Rod, but lately I've been like, dude, stop. Just stop talking. Please. Well, what you don't understand here is no, A-Rod. Jessica's talking.
You don't got to explain everything.
Matter of fact, I think a lot of people can learn from Jessica Mendoza if they shut up. I think Michael Kay can learn. I think there's a lot of people that can learn from Jessica Mendoza.
100%.
So always love listening to Jessica
Michael
Mendoza.
Kay loves hearing himself talk, which is my only problem with him sometimes.
Yeah, he does talk, but your point is she's great.
But I think he does. Doesn't he do the radio as well?
No, John Sterling.
No, John Sterling does. Who's just... I love John Sterling for the fact that he's just a goofball. He's hilarious. But like you said, if you listen, for a good portion of that game, and a lot of other Mets fans did the same thing, and it's not just Mets fans, whatever, but like Howie Rose on the radio for the Mets is just so good. Like he does hockey so good. He's just great. So I put him on and I kind of sync it up a little bit and you just listen. And he even does a great job on the radio of letting the game breathe because he knows when something big happens, you can hear that. You can hear it. Right. And it's a different sport, but I'll use the example of how good Doc Emmerich was with the NHL when it's a huge moment and say it's the last 30 seconds of the game. And what do? They cut their mics? Nothing. They just let the building go nuts. And it's something that's important to where if you're going to do something like try to bring people in to watch baseball on Friday nights on Apple TV Plus, if you're going to do that, you can't just rely on the fact that it looks good. You have to bring in somebody, even if they brought in someone who has done it a few times, it would have made a huge difference. Like I didn't think Carlos Young was horrible. I didn't think any of them. I didn't think anybody. I didn't think they were bad. They just were inexperienced and they really didn't know what they were doing.
And a perfect example is Kendall Coyne Schofield. Is it Schofield,
yes.
the hockey player? Yeah. They put her as the Tampa Bay Lightning color commentator, or I forgot what she was doing at the time, but she started off being really quick and really fast and talking, and then all of a sudden one day it just clicked, and she's so great to listen to on the broadcast because they teamed her up with people who have done this for years. Right. And I think she's one of the best, and she could definitely carry a hockey game now. Hands down.
For sure. Well, that's what it is. Yeah. Well, listen, if they keep doing this all year, the end of the year, they might be good. They might be great. You never know. Everybody.
I'm pulling for them. I don't think they were terrible.
I want them. Yes. And this is another thing too, and it's biased because I'm a baseball guy, but I don't think that the booth that did that does this, but they need to watch baseball. And I'm sure they do.
So they write for one of them writes for Yahoo. Great writer, incredible writer.
Watch baseball and not through.
It doesn't just translate immediately.
Yes, not through the scope of watching it to do an article.
Right.
Watch baseball. Listen to Gary Cohen. Listen to Jessica Mendoza. Listen to all of these different broadcasters. You'll learn something. Listen to Matt Vasgersian.
Listen to Doris Burke. She's one of the best anchors for basketball.
Yes.
Yeah, so, anyways,
I don't even really like basketball, and I like her.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you just got to provide enough insight while allowing the game speak for itself, and just bringing along viewers for the other stuff. Like,
and also don't miss
treat
Max
'em like they're
Scherzer's first
dumb,
pitch. Don't do that. That's not good. Tybee just hangs his head. He's like, yeah, that's not great.
and you know, in their defense as well, like, just imagine, like, you're doing your first ever broadcast, and then you're being like, nobody can see us, everyone's freaking out, like, you know, and like just people just screaming in your ear because like the broadcast is going
It's
so
overwhelming.
poorly, not because of you or anything you guys are doing or saying or anything, but just technically everything's just fucking up.
Well,
Like, it's got to be tough. So it seems like they battled through it later.
Sure.
On.
That's another thing too, Ty. You kind of get another point, and something that I've grown over the years of being a fan of a team that's horrible, the Mets most of the time, is the booth is so good at making you like them during downtime or when the team's bad. Like, I remember the Mets were losing. It was like 22-7 to the Nationals like 6 years ago. So Gary, Keith, and Ron just decided to grab the pamphlet that had all of the SNY programming for the rest of the year, and they gave their thoughts on what they thought those shows would look like.
Yeah,
and
that was a really good broadcast.
It was one of the best broadcasts of the year. So when people are freaking out, like, oh, they kept talking about themselves, it's like, that's not a problem. They just have to do it right, and they just haven't found that yet. And I wouldn't be surprised, Ty, like you said, they might end up being really good. Like, it might be a good booth. I think people just need to give it a chance. I think a lot of the frustration people have is the fact that it wasn't on SNY or a nationally broadcasted game. You had to go out of your way to get it. You didn't know the broadcasters, so right off the clip, you're not going to like them. And then in addition to that, it was so bad. It was chaotic. But if Apple can figure it out, it can be cool. I don't know. I don't have Apple TV. I'm not going to get it. Sorry. I'm not paying for anything. I'll stream it still, so thanks, but it's not going to happen. But I think a lot of people didn't give it, and dude, how would you like it if your job consisted of people on Twitter yelling at you because they didn't like the job you were doing? That would just suck.
It's annoying.
It would suck. I hope they figure it out. I heard the broadcast for the Astros and the Angels was good. I heard it was really good.
Right.
So that's it. That's my thought. That's baseball, Susan.
Absolutely. That's baseball, baby.
The Sanchino.
The Sanchino.
I love John Sterling. God bless that man. God bless that man. Oh.
The Stantonian home run.
Stantonian home run.
My favorite call he ever had was an A-bomb by A-Rod.
He's got some of the best, I think, and this is, again, like, the people who did that broadcast, you should go like listen to these guys because they're legends. Like, one of my favorites, and he's one of the most hated broadcasters ever. Brockmeyer, yeah, just watch that show and do what he did. One of the most hated broadcasters for some reason. I can't remember if he was the radio or the TV, but Bud Hawk Harrelson for the White Sox. You can't put it on a bud. I love that, dude. Or who's the guy that does it for the Angels? Big Fly, Mike Trout. I love that. All about it.
Oh, Johnny! Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough.
250. And the right fielder didn't move. He was in his position.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Baseball, baby.
We got anything else here? We kind of went off a tangent there.
I think we're good.
It was I'll go college baseball real quick. Interesting.
Yeah, get into it.
Lots of sweeps, especially in conference play. You don't see that very often. Usually Sundays. These teams bounce back. Miami, a big sweep over Virginia. Ole Miss got swept by Alabama. Charlotte got swept by Southern Miss. So lots of that going on all around the country. Something we don't normally see, especially with teams who are competitive. Usually it's back and forth, but it was an interesting weekend. And I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of fun as we get closer to conference tournament time. I think we got a ton of teams who are all in that contention to make the tournament, who are all right on the edge and all about the same level of talent. Besides Tennessee, I think anyone could beat anyone any day. Besides Tennessee right now, they're hand and foot the best team in college baseball. But anyone else could beat anyone. Like, you could see some crazy stuff any day. And Kanzi, I think he could go up there. Probably hit a home run for Iona because they fucking suck. They're 0-27, I think.
Well,
no, are they really?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
St. Bonaventure got their first win, but Iona gets swept.
If I played for them, I own a pitcher by the end of the game. Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
All right, I'm gonna head out. Who's Ty B? Who's the top three right now? It's Tennessee, Arkansas, and Virginia still, right?
Yeah, Virginia lost though. Like I said, they got swept this weekend, so they're gonna get bumped out. Like Ole Miss is gonna get bumped out of the top 10. Tennessee is still very easily the top team. I think Texas is still up there. They had a tough series against TCU. TCU should be probably getting bumped into the top 10. They're right up there with them. Arkansas struggled a bunch with Florida. Like it's going to be very
interesting. Florida's good, man. I've been following them a little bit. They got a good
Judd
team.
Fabian, Hunter Barco, like those are legitimate MLB prospects. Both of those guys are probably going to go in the first round here this year. They're going to be a team to watch out for. Florida State's got some good pitching. Yep. Notre Dame looked really good against Clemson this weekend as well. So
Texas is significantly more human than everybody thought they were going to be going into the season.
Yeah, and that's going to happen when you have 2 of your 4 starting pitchers go down early on in the season. Same thing with Mississippi State. Like they just got swept as well, I believe. But I think their big issue, their top 2 pitchers went down with, they had to get TJ. Like that's there's only so much you could do. It's been a problem in the MLB with the pitching early on. The same thing that happened in college baseball. Like all the top names basically all went down with injuries. Like the top 5 or 6 prospects for the draft this season all are not going to be pitching this season.
Right.
But that's baseball, baby.
That is baseball, baby. All right. Anybody got a score on that Red Sox game before we get out of here?
Well, you see,
I cash my bet?
I really don't want to tell you guys this, but I'm not well right now.
Oh, okay.
So I cashed my bet.
It's only 3-1, bottom of the 4th. The Yankees should be okay.
Yeah. Well, as long as they stay in it, I mean, you got no, you know what I mean.
Well, they got 2 on. They got 2 on right now with no outs, and you're worried.
Real quick before we end the show, I do think though the Red Sox biggest problem is going to be to shut the door on teams this year. It looks that way right now.
They don't have they legitimately don't have a closer.
But that's my saving grace right now is I don't think they're going to shut the door.
And that's Alex Cora said it. He goes, they don't have a closer. Like if the Sox are serious about making a run and they're close at the break, that's who they're going to go after. They're going to go for a close. They're going to have to
100%.
Because that lineup is good. That team's going to score runs. Their starting pitching rotation isn't even necessarily that bad. It's their bullpen. They don't have a bullpen. They have no pen. They want to work in Barnes, but even if he's into the closing position, he's not.
He's very inconsistent.
He's not very good.
Well, yeah, he's not very good, Susan. Like, do you know what I mean? He's not and that's something I think that you really have to be a legitimate contending team is a good closer.
Yeah.
Because that's just what it is. A guy's going to come and shut the door.
Yeah.
That's what makes me so mad about Edwin Diaz.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm about to watch this Rizzo at bat. So,
Well, yeah, Rizzo's up because your buddy just got fucking
looking.
Hey, cookies for Cookie Carrasco strikeouts today.
The echo on that on the mic is just incredible. You're going to love that when you listen to that.
Really?
Oh, my God.
I've always wanted to umpire just to ring kids up. Ty, how do you do it? Do you pull it or do you punch? Like, what do you do?
Oh, I'm a big punch out.
You're a punch out kind of guy?
Yeah.
I love that. Love that.
Oh, most of the time, plays at first, you're out.
I saw the best call of all time for any of my buddies that listen to this that's from the Utica, New York area. Tommy Giruzzi, we used to call him Tommy Girutz. Short little Italian guy, had the best call I've ever heard ever. He ejects a kid for sliding in cleats up. Shameless plug. After he'd been warned already, he runs up, comes up to third base, goes like this. He's out and he's out of the game. And it was the best call I've ever heard in my life.
He's out and he's out of the game. Make sure you guys subscribe.